Welcome to ShipVia LBSi. We have two, maybe three distinct groups joining us today. We've adjusted our presentation just a bit to account for the mix. We're going to advance through the initial slides fairly quickly. I'm not going to read them bullet by bullet. The goal is to advance through these anticipated questions listed in the first part of the agenda. Then I'll turn the screen over to one of our very talented consultants, Anthony Delvenko, to take you through the demo where you can see the real magic of ShipVia LBSi at work. We'll then wrap up with some pricing and support slides, and then have some time to answer some questions. Please feel welcome to use the chat function on your screen to submit questions. A couple of LBSi team members will be monitoring chat to aggregate similar questions throughout the presentation, and we'll answer those at the end of the webinar. Who is LBSi? We are a Midwestern-based company doing business for over 33 years. We're an SAP Gold partner, and recently we're acquired by another SAP Gold partner, ERP Logic. We are all very excited about the business solutions and improved services that we can offer our customers as a result of this newly combined company. It appears most of you are currently using SAP Business One, so I won't have much to offer to this slide that most of you don't already know. In a nutshell, SAP Business One offers a single and affordable solution to manage your entire small and medium business, from accounting and financials, purchasing, inventory, sales, and customer relationships, to reporting and analytics. And I apologize for this very busy slide, which many of you may have difficulty seeing the detail. This slide outlines the core product components of SAP Business One. Note the highlighted sections. ShipVia LBSi, the primary focus of today's webinar, interacts directly with these components of SAP Business One. What is ShipVia LBSi? A few years ago, we decided that our old shipping integration solution needed an upgrade. Our goal was to make it easier to install, easier and more efficient to use, and design it to work on all deployment platforms. We identified and partnered with a company, ShipSource, who has over 35 years delivering shipping solutions, and we worked together to build a tightly integrated SAP Business One enhancement we now call ShipVia LBSi. How's it work? As a user, you get to select from over 62 LTL and small parcel carriers. You can define shipping container and package restrictions, set any pre-negotiated price overrides, and then as shipments are processed, you get two-way real-time shopping and integration with your selected parcel and LTL shippers. Additionally, if changes to the orders are required, which is a rare event, right? Those changes again are accomplished with real-time bi-directional integration between SAP Business One and your desired freight carriers. All right, I bet you're ready to see ShipVia LBSi in action. Anthony, when you're ready, grab control of the screen and show us the magic.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning, everyone. Once again, as Jeff already mentioned, I am Anthony and I'm part of the consulting team here at LBSi. And today we'll be going over a demonstration on how to actually process shipments with the ShipVia application. So we have here on the left-hand side, this of course is SAP Business One, and then on the right we have the ShipVia LBSi application. It is an external application, and you'll be able to enter in specific order information from SAP into the application. So starting in SAP, we have the delivery document, but as Jeff previously highlighted, this ShipVia application will also work off of the sales order delivery as we see here, inventory transfer request, and inventory transfer. So on the delivery document, if you notice, we have a new tab here called ShipVia LBSi. It'll offer some new fields that you can enter in specific information on. So in the top left field here, we have freight method. This indicates the freight method that is selected on the actual delivery document, and this is being populated from our logistics tab. So in the shipping type field, we have parcel rate shop selected. You can, in the system, assign the actual ShipVia codes to these shipping types, which I will demonstrate later on what that correlates to. But this, of course, can be defined and defaulted on your business partner master data to a specific default value. And later on, this will be brought over to the ShipVia application, as I will demonstrate later on. But below that, we have the freight terms drop-down. There's a couple options that you can select from. We have collect, prepaid, prepaid and add freight, and third party. The only option here that will actually add freight to your AR invoice at the end of the process will be prepaid and add freight. So if you are looking to pass the freight on to your customers, prepaid and add freight will be the one that you want to select if you want to add the freight later on the AR invoice. Below that, we have the FOB field. This is simply just a text field and will not affect any freight calculations on your order. But if you want to specify where the actual FOB point is for your order, you do have the ability to do so and indicate in the FOB point field. Below that, we have the residential delivery and Saturday delivery dropdowns. These will default to no, but of course you can also change these to yes. For some carriers, these can affect how the freight charges are being calculated, whether it actually is a residential delivery or a Saturday delivery. For example, like with UPS, this will affect how the freight charges are being calculated. And below that, we have the freight account field. So if we would select the freight terms like collect, the freight account would indicate the customer's freight account or the freight account of the ship to address where the items are being sent out to. Whereas if you select third party from your freight terms dropdown, this freight account can be any user's freight account. All right, and on the right-hand side, these fields will be updated with ShipVia, so I would demonstrate that once we process the actual delivery document in the ShipVia application. All right, so in the application to our right-hand side here, we have the order number field. This will correlate to the actual order number in SAP. So I'll just enter in the same order number that I see here for the delivery document. There are prefixes that will need to be specified for other documents, but for the delivery document, you do not need to actually specify a prefix. So for other documents, if you are looking to use the inventory transfer request and inventory transfer documents, you will need to enter different prefixes in front of the order number, which we will, of course, assist you with during the implementation process. And this is all outlined in our user guide that we offer with the ShipVia application. All right, and if you notice below that, there's a ShipVia field. This is the field where you can specify which carrier you want to use. So as you see here back on the order, we had the parcel rate shop option selected. And then what it does is it automatically brings up the ShipVia code for the parcel rate shop option. So with our ShipVia application, we do offer several rate shop abilities. This will allow you to see all or a specific number of carriers that are specified in the system, and you'll be able to see which carrier is offering you the cheapest rate for the specific order. If for some orders you may not want to rate shop for whatever reason, you can double click into the ShipVia field and actually select specific carriers that you want for the order. So if you didn't populate the ShipVia field automatically, you could come in here and select either a rate shop option or another carrier from the lookup window. All right, below that we have the expected count field. For parcel orders, this is where you can specify how many packages your order contains. So in this example, I'll process 2 packages. And below that, we have the box ID field. If you double click into this, you can select the dimensions for your first package that you're processing. This field or this lookup window can add any number of dimensions you'd like to it. So I just have a couple entered here, but of course we can add additional dimensions for the specific package types that you have. All right, and then after we enter in the box ID for parcel orders, we will enter in the weight field that we see here down below. And then when you are actually ready to see the freight charges for your order, you can select the rate button. We do also have the ability to automatically calculate the rates for you after you tab off of the weight field. And that can, of course, be set up via your settings in the ShipVia application. All right, so since we have a rate shop option selected, we see a couple carriers here that are listed with the cheapest rate appearing at the top. And then, of course, going down the list are the more expensive rates. We see here on the right the TNT days column. This indicates the estimated time in transit that the package will be in. So, for example, if you need the package to be sent to its location sooner, you would just select an option that has a shorter time in transit days. But if you're not necessarily concerned with that, of course, selecting the cheapest rate would be more beneficial, of course, because of the charges. So in this example, I will select UPS ground. And after we select the carrier, you will see the ShipVia code will update with the carrier's name that we see here above. But we see the time in transit listed above with above the package charges field. And of course, in the package charges field will be listed the charges for the specific shipment that we're processing. So for the first package in this example, we see here that this package will cost us $16.38 to ship it out to our location via UPS ground. Some carriers do offer specific package options when sending out their packages via the carrier. So this will look different based on the carrier that you have selected. These are all the package options or the special services that UPS ground offers in this example. But for specific carriers, this will be different, so these options will not be the same for other carriers in the system. All right, but whenever you are actually ready to process the shipment, all you need to do is simply select the ship button. Since I do have 2 packages specified for this order, what we just did previously, we processed the first package, so now we'll go ahead and process the second package. So if you need to update the dimensions, you can of course do so. But otherwise, we're not going to update the dimensions here, so I'll just go ahead and enter in the weight. All right, and then I will press the rate button again. And then we'll see the new package charges get updated automatically. Another thing that you can also look at to indicate which package you're processing for parcel orders, if you look at the bottom right, it says box 2 of 2. So this is another way that you can indicate which package you're currently processing with the application. Right, so we'll go ahead and ship this package out. So now both of our packages have been processed with the ShipVia application. At this point in time for the parcel order, the shipping labels will be sent to your printer automatically, and they will be printed off. Since this was a UPS order, the standard UPS label will be printed. Likewise for FedEx, the specific FedEx labels will be printed automatically, and those are all in accordance with the standard UPS and FedEx labels that they offer. So back in SAP, if I refresh this delivery document, you'll notice that some of the fields on the right-hand side will now be populated with information. We see here in the actual freight method field which carrier was actually selected for the order. We see the weight of the overall order. So as if we remember from the order, the first package weighed 10 pounds and the second package weighed 5 pounds, which gives us the total of 15 pounds. Below that for the parcel order, we do see the number of packages, which of course was 2. Then we see the actual freight charges here. There is another freight charges field, which is the published freight amount. So the difference between the freight charges and the published freight amount field, of course, the freight charges will include any discounts that you may have with the specific carriers, and the published freight amount does not include any of those discounts that you have with the carriers. So if you want to charge either just the freight account or the freight charges with the discount, we could set up ShipVia to actually process the cheaper freight charges, whereas if you do not want to pass on the discount to customers, you could specify in the system to charge the published freight amount on the invoice. All right, and then below that we have the lead tracking number field. This is going to be the tracking number of the first package that you process, and then below that in the freight tracking number field will be any additional tracking numbers that may have been added for the order. So since we had 2 packages processed, we have 2 separate tracking numbers. All right, and then back a little bit further up, we have the COD amount field. The COD amount simply stands for cash on delivery. So if you deal with any cash transactions for your shipments, you will be able to specify the cash amount in the ShipVia field here on the delivery document prior to actually processing the document in the ShipVia application. So not a lot of clients do use the cash on delivery feature, but if you do process any cash shipments, you would be able to use that field if need be. All right, and below that we have the handling charges field. This is simply just an extra upcharge for the actual order, and we do also offer the ability to add an upcharge based on the percentage, and this can all be configured with the ShipVia settings in the system. So we'll of course will assist you if you do want to provide an upcharge on the freight charges that are being calculated. And of course, as I just mentioned, this can be either a fixed amount or based on a percentage. Okay, so now we have the freight charges on our delivery document. Let's go ahead and bring the charges over to the AR invoice so we can see other new features that were added with our ShipVia application. All right, and if we see here on the ShipVia LBSi tab, all the information, of course, is brought over from the previous document that we processed. And now, since this is a prepaid and add freight order, we can, of course, add the freight to the invoice via one of the new buttons that you see here at the bottom, which is titled Get Freight. So when prepaid and add freight is selected, when we press this Get Freight button, it automatically moves the freight charges that we have from the order to the actual freight field on our AR invoice. So I currently have the system set up to use the freight charges that include the discounts, which is why I brought over the $31.91. Whereas if I wanted to, I could specify or tell the system to use the published freight amount field instead. So it just all depends on what amount you want to actually charge to your customers. All right, but that's going over a parcel example. If you did need to, say, void a shipment, for example, if you go up to File, back in the ShipVia application, and then select Inquiry-Void, this will display a shipment history window, and then you'll be able to see which ones were either voided or have the SHPD status, which indicates that the shipment has been sent out. So let's say I wanted to just void the order that I entered automatically. Maybe I wanted to use a different carrier that had or that got the package to its destination sooner. I could go highlight the field here and then press the void button. Otherwise, before I actually void the shipment, if you did need to reprint information like the labels, you could select the reprint button, and then it'll reprint the labels at that time. But in this example, if you do need to void the shipment, go ahead and select the void button, and then it actually voids the shipment with the actual carrier, so the carrier will get notified that the shipment has been voided, and then you'll see here the status change over to void. When the shipment is voided, it will remove the information from the document in SAP, so that information will no longer be populated. And of course, the next time you process the shipment with the application, the new information will be sent over to the document you are processing. But now let's go over an LTL example. So I have here another delivery entered in the system. We have 2 items entered on the delivery already. So let's go ahead and process this shipment now. So I'll enter in the delivery number once again. And of course, this will bring in all the order information from the document in SAP. And then that also includes the ship to location as well, which comes from the logistics tab. So if you did need to adjust the ship to address, it is always better to make sure that the correct address is specified in SAP. Otherwise, you can update the ship to address in the ShipVia application via the addresses tab. But typically, it's always better to have that correct in the SAP database. That way, you do have that visibility in your SAP database as well. All right, so we have the order number pulled up, we have the ship to address, and we had the LTL rate shop option selected, which of course brought over our LTL ShipVia code automatically. So instead of updating the expected count, box ID, and weight fields, this time if you notice there's an LTL button. So for your LTL freight orders, you will want to select the LTL button. We see here this will bring up our LTL shipment details window. We see the various items that were on the actual delivery document. We can also customize this or change this so that way you can only select a default item or a generic item on your BOL or on your shipment. So some carriers or some customers may not be concerned with the individual item details on your order. So if you do not want to update the item information for all of your items, we can have the system just select one default value. That way you can just enter in the total weight for the overall shipment instead of breaking it out on the individual items. So in order to actually update the weight and dimensions of your items, you can simply double click the line item from the table below, and it will bring up all the information from the item that was brought over from the system. So you could update information like the number of pallets. If you're concerned about specifying a unit of measure, you could specify it in the dropdown. Same thing goes for the NMFC code or the class. We do also offer in the SAP database a field where you can assign NMFC codes to your items so they populate automatically. So if you are concerned with the MSC codes for your order, we can actually specify that automatically for your items. But in order to actually populate the information in the table, you would just simply either type it in, or you can also connect scanners to the ShipVia application, which I forgot to mention earlier. So in those weight fields that we previously saw for parcel orders, and same as the weight field that we see here for our LTL order, we can connect the scales to the actual application, and then at the time you can go ahead and simply just weigh the packages, and then it'll populate the field with the weight, of course, as long as you're selecting the field. All right, but in order to actually add the information back to the order, as you may have saw with the previous item I added, you simply just select the add button, and then it updates the information with the items in the LTL shipment details window. If you have generic comments or any remarks you want to add to your BOL, you could specify them in the BOL comments field. Otherwise, once you are ready to actually process this order, you can select the done button. All right, and then when it comes time to rate the order, once again, we can select the rate button. And then as I previously mentioned, we can of course have it rate automatically after you tab off of the weight field or finish adding the LTL buttons, or the items, sorry. So we can also add that functionality as well. So we see here in this rate results window, we can see the various carriers followed by the total charges and time in transit once again. So I'll go ahead and select Central Transport in this example. All right, once I select the carrier, it updates in the main window of the application. We see here the time in transit once again, followed by the package charges for the order. So I'll go ahead and select the ship button to process the shipment. All right, of course, since this is an LTL shipment, the BOL will be generated automatically. This is just the generic BOL example that we have with the demo system. So this will populate automatically, and it will automatically be sent out to your BOL printers. Of course, we can assign any printers you'd like to the actual application, so these will be sent automatically. With regards to the pro number, of course, for LTL shipments, that's in a sense the tracking number of the order. We can either set that to go through a range of pro numbers automatically, or we can specify or prompt a window that will appear, and users could enter in the pro number at that time. Of course, the benefit of having the window appear automatically and users enter it in, you won't have to have us automatically, or not automatically, but update the pro number range that you provide us. So if you do want the pro numbers to populate automatically, the only downside to that is we would have to constantly update the range of pro numbers once you run out. So it just all depends on how you want that to function. But like I said, that can either be done automatically, or we can prompt a box for users to enter in the pro number for the order. All right, but back in SAP, once again, I can refresh the delivery document, and then we see here the weight of the charges, or sorry, the weight of the shipment appear automatically. Same thing goes for the freight charges. And then this time, since it is an LTL order, the actual pro number will appear here in the lead tracking and freight tracking number fields, followed by the pro number that is specified for the specific carrier. All right, and then once again, just to go through the process again, when I go to the AR invoice and select the Get Freight button, since it is a prepaid and add freight order, we see here that the freight charges do get added automatically to the AR invoice after selecting the Get Freight button. Okay, but let's see here. I'll just close the AR invoice again. We do also offer a third button here that I didn't previously go over, which is called Contents. So this will come into play for your international orders. So this will list additional information like your commodity code, export code, specific license numbers for your exports, and then as well as the expiration date of licenses, and then the additional information populated. So we will work with you to make sure that your international shipments process successfully with the application, making sure that it communicates with those international carriers that we do currently work with. And of course, if there are additional carriers that we do not list with the application, we can always look into having those connections with the carriers if need be. All right, but that is the general functionality of the ShipVia application. Jeff, I'll go ahead and turn it back to you. And of course, when there are questions at the end, I will, of course, answer those additional questions.
Thanks, Anthony. Nice job. I've seen the demo a couple of times and it never gets old. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
So how do you get ShipVia LBSi? Well, we offer ShipVia with one pricing model to all deployments. It's a fairly simple, straightforward package. You get one location, 2 workstations, 3 parcel carriers, 3 LTL carriers. You pay a standard monthly subscription fee that includes unlimited transactions. So it's just a standard monthly subscription fee, unlimited transactions. And if you desire to add more locations, workstations, or carriers, a nominal monthly charge is added to the standard package rate. This slide contains some details that are specific to SAP partners. Note that there are no partner agreements required, no annual software maintenance fees, and we'll set up and install the base system without any additional charges. This slide pertains to both partners and SAP Business One users. Note that we'll train your employees and consultants at no charge during the initial phase for each installation. That's pretty much it for the webinar. If you like what you saw and want additional information or would like the start of the process of getting ShipVia LBSi into your company or used by your customers, contact me with Jeff with the information on the slide. If you're a non-LBSi customer, then you should contact your business partner and tell them that you would like to use ShipVia LBSi. If you don't know who your partner is, contact me and I'll be happy to assist you with locating your partner. All right, I think we have some time to answer some questions, and we may or may not have a surprise guest. Andy, Mickey, what do you have?
Hi, Jeff. Thanks. Anthony, that is the heaviest motherboard I've ever seen. Goodness gracious. We had one question earlier, Jeff, and that was if you're a reseller partner, does LBSi provide any documentation so that I can show ShipVia to my customers?
Yeah, for sure. You have various videos that are on our YouTube video site, LBSi site, and we have some PDF documents. And of course, webinars like this will also be made available. And I know we're also preparing some additional information, including some marketing material that'll help the partners, in a sense, sell ShipVia LBSi to their clients.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I don't have any other questions in the chat. Perhaps Ron would like to say hello, and maybe there's anything that we missed that he'd like to add. Hi, Ron.
Hello. I'm Ron. I'm with ShipVia. Sitting in here today just to answer any questions that can come along. When it comes down to having technology expertise with the moving of the data back and forth, I think the guys are doing a really good job here. But if anybody wanted to ask me specific questions, possibly about carriers or shipping specific questions and how this interacts, I'm here to answer those questions if you would like to ask them.
Yes, I was wondering, Ron, too. I saw that on the carrier list you have a Canadian carrier listed. Are there other country carriers that you interface with?
Yeah, sure. From Canada, we have the ability to ship from Canadian origins anywhere in the world, and inside of Canada as well. So we have more than one Canadian carrier. We actually have UPS and FedEx, of course, up there, and we have Canpar, Canadian Post, Purelator, Loomis, and there might be one I'm forgetting in there. We do have the ability to ship LTL up there. We don't have the ability. The rating capabilities for LTL in Canada are a little bit different, but we have the ability. They're mainly spot quotes, so it'd be kind of like doing a spot quote here in the U.S., where you would get like a truckload carrier or something like that, where you'd have to call a broker. Kind of works the same way in Canada, but we give you the ability to capture the cost and to print that bill of lading, which you need to do. And of course, generate any pallet labels you might have. And then for worldwide carriers, yes, we have carriers in Mexico. We have carriers that are in Asia, we have carriers in Europe. We also have set up relationships that that LBSi can offer as well with carriers in the U.S. that offer discounted rates. So if you're looking for rates like for LTL or for you need help with brokerage, or if you need help with parcel rates, we've set up many partnerships, and we've allowed any of our partners like LBSi to leverage those in case you want to look at those types of things as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much, Ron. Do we have any other questions?
Ron, I have a question. This is Jeff. If I have a particular parcel carrier that you currently don't have and I'm interested in ShipVia, approximately how much time elapsed between me making that my desire to use that parcel to getting them maybe offered through your service?
It depends on connectivity. So there's anybody ships knows there's companies out there that have excellent IT like UPS and FedEx, and then you have folks out there that are smaller couriers, possibly that are local, that might have 3 or 4 vans or something. They may not have the capabilities. So it's going to depend on what they have for rating capabilities. So we have different things we can offer here, Jeff. So we have the best way is to see if the carrier has a has an API that we can connect to, like a web service API. Those are typically the quickest to do.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
We have one now. We've got a new program that we created for connecting APIs. So we're hoping to have those API connections done within a day. Now, right now, currently, I would say the API connections take between 2 weeks to 3 weeks to accomplish and get set up. It's just dealing back and forth with the companies we're connecting with, testing transactions. They may have certification things you have to run through, those types of things. We also have a generic carrier that's in there. So for these couriers that might have rates, maybe for instance, they're giving you rates that are based on weight, or they're giving you rates that are based on a zip code. We do have the ability to import those rates or to add those as well manually. So there's some options there.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Anything else, Andy?
That's it, Jeff. Thank you.
Great. If that's not it, thanks to everybody for attending the ShipVia LBSi webinar. I'm going to actually back up on the slides and leave the address, my contact information up for those that want to write it down. And again, we hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year, and I hope to hear from each of you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.